Now, scores of supporters gathered outside the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court after ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule and his co-accused appeared on charges of the Free State Province asbestos, corruption and fraud. Magashule, however, did not address the crowds. We look at the issue of political gatherings under the current state of national disaster regulations. Attorney at Right to Protest tells us more. Stanley Malematja, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. We saw scores of ANC members in their regalia, really out in full force, some not even wearing masks, and really coming out very strongly during a time where it is illegal to have political gatherings, especially with those numbers. What did you make of it?
Thank you very much, Mpo, and thank you for having us. And good morning to your viewers. Mpo, it is very concerning that we have a constitutionally guaranteed human right being a criminal offense only when it comes to other people. But then when it comes to people or members or those who are affiliated with the ruling party, then we just see them flouting the laws. We see them flouting the constitutional, the lockdown regulations, right? And the concerning part is that no action is being taken. And when I say no action is being taken, I mean the regulations are very clear that those who participate or convene political gatherings, there must be some action being taken, and that action is, it includes those actions which are provided for in the Criminal Procedure Act, which includes arrest and detention. But we've not been seeing that. And I think the main reason why we've not been seeing that is that the government itself knows that the current lockdown regulations are very irrational when it comes to prohibiting or criminalizing a constitutionally guaranteed right that helped the ANC itself to attain what we call democracy today. So it is really concerning that the internal factions of the ANC are eroding our democracy. To say that people cannot hold their government accountable through the constitutional right to protest. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the South African police, and we know that no action was taken against any of the members. Of course, they were stationed very strategically to ensure that they don't come close to the actual magistrates' court. But what sort of action were you expecting from the police?
Now, this is the sort of action that I was expecting. It is an action that is also included in the lockdown regulations. It says that, number one, political gatherings are prohibited. And any person who participates or convenes in a political gathering, the police must immediately, there's a qualifying word, immediately ask that person to disperse. And if that person fails to do so, then the police can arrest, detain, and charge that person. So we have not been seeing this with members affiliated to the ANC. And I think basically what we are appealing to is that, we understand that there's a lockdown. We understand that there's a pandemic. But what is the rationale, of allowing people to go to public swimming pools, public beaches, a place where we know where those activities, if you perform those activities of swimming, you cannot do them with a mask. And you are telling 50 people or 100 people that they cannot go to the union buildings and submit a memorandum of demand so that they may align, so that they allow government to align its policies with the people. Because that is what protests are about. Protest is not a fight against the government. Protest is a way of aligning government's policies with the will of the people. Now, you're telling people they can't do that. But on the other hand, you have members of your own party wearing the leading party's regalia, participating in political gatherings, and no action is being taken. And I'm not saying people should have been shot there. There was a good way of handling it. So what we are saying with the government basically is the Right to Protest project is that we know that Mr. President is very capable of doing things with immediate effect. So what we are basically asking is that uplift the ban on political protest with immediate effect. It makes no sense at all.
And what message do you believe that this breach of the COVID-19 regulations sends out to the general public when it comes to compliance with these very stringent level 3 lockdown measures?
But I think that is a very important question, and thank you for asking that. Now, this is the message that it sends. As the Right to Protest project, we've been receiving a lot of queries. We've been receiving a lot of emails from law-abiding citizens who want to abide by the law and say, look, we want to exercise our constitutional right to protest, but we are unable to do so. Now, here's the thing. We are sitting back. We know what the law says. The law says that all political gatherings are prohibited. But now, at the same time, you see people affiliated to the National Party enjoying their constitutional right to protest. So it really doesn't make sense to someone, to someone who wants to abide by the law. There must be, how can I put it? There must be consistent application and implementation of the law. And once people on the ground do not see that, they lose faith in the law. They lose faith in the legal system to say, look, you can't tell me that I can protest, but I saw scores of people at a magistrates court in Bloemfontein and they were exercising their right to protest. And you know what's worse, if I can just add, under normal circumstances, any person that wishes to exercise a constitutional right to protest near or outside a court building is that those people must apply in terms of Section 7 of the Regulations of Gatherings Act, so that if there's any court proceedings that are going on, they are not disturbed by the protest, so that the district magistrate, the chief magistrate in the area, can make sure that, okay, this protest complies with the relevant regulations. But here you just have people just barging and saying, we are going to support woo-woo, and we are going to do that through a prohibited conduct. Through a prohibited conduct. And also one thing that we saw that we are not questioning for is that we have the MK vets gathering, and I'll put it this, gathering outside the former president's house. Now, that is a political gathering in all forms and shape. And we saw them selling their party's regalia and so forth. That is a political gathering, and they are doing a political defense. We saw the minister of police himself being stopped by the people who are gathering, and no action was taken. Like, really, the inconsistent application of the law in implementation, it is really disappointing in this country. It is really disappointing. And it makes people lose faith in democracy. It makes people lose faith in the legal system. And we can't do that. And unfortunately, you can't go to a court of law and say that I protested because I saw ANC people protesting. That can never be a legal defense. You see, that is really bad. So what we are saying is that COCTA, the NCC, uplift the ban on political protest, because you yourself cannot control your own members, because you know that your laws are irrational. It makes no sense at all.
Thank you so much for weighing in there. Attorney at Right to Protest, Stanley Malematja, giving us a sense of what it meant for scores of ANC supporters to gather outside of the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court in support of ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule.